that I knew before my name was called. There's a particular quiet that settles in your chest when you've already made peace with disappointment. I sat in the folding chair, robe itching at my neck, and stopped scanning the audience halfway through the ceremony. The empty seats were no longer evidence. They were confirmation. When they called my name, I stood, walked, shook a hand, smiled for a camera that would never send the photo to anyone who cared. The applause sounded polite. It always does. Strangers clap generously. They don't know what it costs to be there. I was proud. That part was real. I'd finished my degree in my 40s, after years of night classes, deferred assignments, and explaining to everyone why it mattered. But pride without witness feels unfinished, like a sentence without punctuation. As I stepped off the stage, my phone vibrated. "We need to talk, urgently." It was from my husband. I stood there, diploma folder tucked under my arm, and stared at the screen. The word urgent felt almost ironic. Nothing had been urgent this morning when I reminded him what time the ceremony started. Nothing had been urgent when the kids asked if they really had to sit through a long, boring thing. Instead of going to their aunt's backyard barbecue, I checked my notifications. 45 missed calls, all from my sister. I didn't call back. I walked to my car slowly, past families taking pictures, past hugs and flowers and laughter. Someone asked if I wanted them to take my photo. I thanked them and said no. I didn't trust my face to cooperate. On the drive home, memories came uninvited. My sister's milestones, engagements, promotions, parties always drew a crowd. Mine tended to be flexible, reschedulable, optional. I had learned to explain it away. She needed them more. She was louder about wanting them there. I was understanding. Understanding had become my role. When I got home, the house was empty. I set the diploma on the table and made tea I didn't want. The phone buzzed again. This time, text from my sister, "Please call me. It's important." I waited. An hour later, my husband came in. His face was tight, preoccupied, as if he were still standing in someone else's crisis. "Why didn't you answer?" he asked. I looked at him and realized something quietly devastating. He hadn't asked how the ceremony was. He hadn't noticed the folder on the table. "What's wrong?" I asked instead. He exhaled. "Your sister's barbecue, it went bad. The kids got into something they shouldn't have." "There was a scare," she panicked. "She couldn't reach you." I nodded. Not because I understood, but because the pattern was complete now. My presence was not required for joy, only for cleanup. "I was on stage," I said. My voice surprised me. It was steady. He paused. "I know. But it wasn't urgent then," I finished. "Only now." He frowned as if assembling an argument. "You know how she is?" "Yes," I said. "I do." That night, after the kids were asleep, I told him what it felt like to walk across that stage alone. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't accuse. I described it the way you describe weather after it's already passed. He listened, but listening didn't fix anything. It never does by itself. 2 days later, I got an email from the program coordinator. A short note congratulating me, followed by an offer to recommend me for a position connected to my fieldwork. It wasn't sentimental. It was professional, concrete. I accepted. When my sister finally came over, she apologized quickly, the way people do when they're more uncomfortable than remorseful. She talked about the chaos, the stress, how she assumed I'd understand. "I always do," I said. She laughed, then stopped when she saw I wasn't joking. That was the moment things shifted, not loudly, not permanently, but unmistakably. I stopped rearranging myself to be convenient. I declined invitations that conflicted with my work. I didn't rush to respond when urgency wasn't mutual. My husband struggled with it. So did I. Years of accommodation don't disappear cleanly. We are still together, but differently, with more silence, with clearer lines. Sometimes, late at night, I open the graduation photo the university sent me anyway. In it, I'm smiling, slightly unsure, standing alone. It isn't the picture I imagined, but it's honest. And for the first time, that feels like enough.